Hey y'all, it's your girl, no longer going by a baby named Ghetto, but a pinch of Shay. And I bring you this not so new speed paint of Vegeta, of his depiction from a legend, a Dragon Ball tale, made by Nasir Pasha. And because this video is not so new, that was because I uploaded this thing last year, but due to its performance and overall not really liking how the video turned out, I decided to delete it and upload it for the new year. So for this piece, when it came to the sketching phase, it took about 6 attempts for me to come up with a sketch that looked right to me. And even on the 6th attempt, it was kind of a struggle trying to finish and fix certain things that looked off to me, and I just decided to go up and fix the sketch in Procreate instead. I warped and cropped some things around to make it look right, and then that's when I started working on the hands. I cropped out my very own hands from a reference photo, a very unflattering reference photo of myself recreating Vegeta's pose from Legend. I used my hands as the guide of how not only the hand should look like, but I also just traced over it at the end. And during that time, I had to look up a tutorial on how to draw teeth because I did not want the teeth to look weird. And afterwards, I then went on to the shoulders, and that was very much torture. I ended up drawing it over and over again, and then that's when I then cropped another piece of my body from the same reference photo, this time being my own shoulders, and I used that as a guide, and that very much helped me out a lot. And then I used Vegeta's shoulders from Legend to add in details onto my Vegeta, and it ended up working out. Oh, and this is my first attempt at drawing these brass knuckle parts. I ended up working on it and dismissing it multiple times throughout this whole speed paint. And I would like to mention that I kinda struggled with the placement of the tail for a little bit, but I figured it out later on once I got to the line art. And for the line art, I was attempting at making my own brush, or just customizing in a pre-existing brush on Procreate, but I ended up not doing that. What I ended up doing was putting very thin lines and then adding some weight to the lines later on. Plus, I had a second attempt at the brass knuckle part, to which it did not succeed. But then I decided to go on to the coloring phase, and at first, I really did not know what I was doing. I originally was just gonna color pick the colors from the original frame from Legend, but for whatever reason it didn't look good on my Vegeta. So after a lot of trial and error, I ended up using the colors on a Vegeta that I got from Google, which you can see on screen. I then started mapping out where the placement for the shadow and the lights should be. Now, the sketch that I did for the mapping out of both the light and the shadow, I noticed that it created a secondary color that you would see in between a very harsh lighting and shadow on an object, and I decided to put that within my colors. And aside from that, the whole coloring process was going smoothly until I got to the flames / the energy blob Vegeta used to make a sword. I really did not know what or how I was going to draw these flames the first couple of times. And at first, I started coming up with something fairly decent, but as I was drawing and shaping out the flames for that, I realized that I would have covered the entirety of Vegeta's hands, and I was not about to have that. So I went ahead and tried to figure out how to basically make the flames in a way where it showed Vegeta's hands and also read as flames. I basically threw that in the trash can and went on working on the background instead, but that did not last long because the background did not look how I wanted it to look, so I went back to the flames. This time I drew a guide so that it could help me with getting the overall shape of the flames right, and it ended up working out perfectly. And even though I was more successful at drawing this flame, I kind of wish I didn't delete the first one, because the sparks that I drew coming out Vegeta's hands in the first flame, I kind of like that one way more than the one that I went with. And for the flames, I had to look up a tutorial on Pinterest so I can get the look of it right. And because flames was coming out of Vegeta's hands, I figured that putting a light source on Vegeta's body would have made it look way more cool. I used the bloom effect on it instead, and I think it worked out way much better. Plus, I added more sparks, and after going back to the flames, because I did not save this specific pink color, enjoy this blob of pink coming in and out of existence. I then put a blue rim light out of inspiration of the Google image that you see on screen still, and then my third attempt at the brass knuckle parts, to which I am happy to say that it was successful this time. And speaking of the brass knuckles still, I had to look up another tutorial on Pinterest, specifically on how to draw metallic surfaces. And then I put a burgundy color onto the line art of the hands to make the flames pop more. I then worked a bit on the eyes. All I did was slap a blurred color of blue on it, put a bloom effect on it, and called it a day. And then here's round 2 of the background. I decided to make the whole thing a more warmer palette than it originally was, and I ended up having a lot of fun with this, but it took a while for me to finish this part. And then there was the part where I started putting shadows onto the walls, and for whatever reason, I forgot a part of the walls that I had to go back and fix. I'm not sure why I did this, but I ended up covering the statues that are attached to the walls. And this makes no sense because Vegeta would have covered them anyways, but you see me editing them out for this piece. And because the background was a bit too dark, I decided to go ahead and light it up with some blue and yellow respectively. And let me tell you, after adding the yellow and blue lights, it gave me major 괊ᴇᴄ vibes. And for whatever reason, it also ended up making me realize that Vegeta's color scheme looked like Roy Mustang. And then I added even more fire sparks, and then went back to the Vegeta and did a whole bunch of stuff. I would also like to mention that around the time I finished this piece, I had entered it in a competition made by Nasir himself. I did not end up winning, but if you guys want to check out the video of not only my entry, but also other contestants' entries, then I will add the video in the description below. And to whoever made it this far into the video, thank you for watching. I hope you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my other social media platforms. Stay tuned for more of this type of thing, because there's definitely more where this came from. And most importantly, have a blessed day, and peace out.